Okay, my name is Martine Robertson, and today's date is 10/11/2014, and we're at Raeford for the Hall of Fame weekend. A very exciting weekend. I think I'm supposed to tell you the history of what I've been doing in skydiving. First of all, I started way back in the 60s, and when I started there was probably no more than 40 girls throughout the United States. And I was trained by Poppenhager in South Florida. I was his second girl that he ever taught skydiving. And unfortunately, he didn't like women jumpers. So it took me about 30 jumps to convince him that yes, that was my sport and that's what I planned to do. After that, Pop taught me a lot of skydiving. I started going to all the meets. From then on, it was just a no-ending deal. I starved to death a little bit because I would quit my job and go skydive for maybe 2 or 3 months. And back then we was jumping the no good flying canopies. That's all I can tell you. I mean, we started out with just a little cut in the thin parachutes. Parachutes was in the front, so we really was the pioneer people of parachuting. I proceeded on from that, went to a lot of meets, jumped in Cotton Bell Conference meets, jumped against a lot of the Golden Knights, and from that day on, I think it was in 1966, I finally made the U.S. parachute team, went to Bulgaria, and at that time we had 4 girls on the team. We had a wonderful year that year. I would guess the funny part of the jumping that particular summer was the fact that Hopgood or whatever, she made the wrong jump for us, target-wise, because back then you had to be right on the target. And we missed the whole DZ, and Jean Paul Thacker wasn't too happy with that. And the real neat thing about it was we landed in the city, and there was a huge building there being built. And I remember we had to zero in and try to land in the rooms that was open. So that was a bad, bad day for us as U.S. parachute team. I proceeded on from there. I guess I continuously jumped, trained a lot of people in the southeast. I never had too good a luck with the girls, but always jumped heavy with the men and trained a lot of the men. And in 1967, I was an air traffic controller for the Army. And West Point at that time had just started their West Point Skydiving team. And Gene Thacker and I believe another guy was in charge of them at the time, and they invited me to go to West Point. I said no, don't want to go, but anyway I did. I got sent up there by 3rd Army, and I was the assistant coach, and Dick Harmon was the coach. Most of the guys that we was training, we had about 27 to 30 men, and I was only about 2 years older than them, so I was always being interviewed, and they was always saying, how do you do it with all these guys? And I said, well, I'm just another one of the guys. So I did real well there. We went back on the team that year in 1969 and to Yugoslavia, and we did real well that year. And after that, I of course married a military guy, got transferred out, and continued to jump, and had 1 daughter, kept jumping, but I have about 1,200 jumps now, and that's about it. I would say jumping has advanced so much from when we were pioneers, and I just get amazed at the people today, the talent that they have, and see all the parachute gear and everything that they have, and I think, gosh, if I wasn't so old, I'd love to do this again today. But safety-wise, it has come many, many, many years of being very, very safe. I can see a huge future. The number of jumps that people do now versus what we did. We used to think 500 jumps was a lot of jumps. Now the people do it in a year or less. So I'm very encouraged with the sport. I can see that the general public has totally accepted the sport now. And back when we first started, you had to be way out in the country, and the police would come get you because you would land in a tree, and they didn't like you being in their tree. So anyway, it's a wonderful sport. I wish that everyone could have an opportunity to just see how safe it is. I think it's one of the safest sports around. I've always said that, and I used to always say there's no reason for the girls to not be as good as the guys. There's no physical work there. It's not like snow skiing. It's all mental. So I just learned to be one of the guys because there wasn't a lot of girls out there. And from that day on, I am very impressed with everything that's going on. And I'm having lots of fun at the Hall of Fame here in Raeford.